I think to have a fun, enjoyable race with your partner, you got to start planning way ahead and kind of check in with each other, kind of keep each other like accountable.
Welcome to the Löw Tide Böyz, a Swimrun Podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 216 of the show. Partners Month continues this week with a new team formed for one righteous purpose. To
rule them off?
Is that too much? Is that going a little hard?
I think it's good.
To race this year's edition of the 2024 ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship. Joining us in Studio G this week are dear friends Addison, Nuding, and Phil Saenkov, A.K.A. Team TBD. We're not sure what their name is. We try to work it out. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. But anyway, in this conversation, we chatted about how the team came together, how they are planning to train from afar, one in Colorado, one in California, and what their goals are for the experience. We talked a lot in this show about the importance of teammates being aligned on their goals. And this conversation is like being a fly on the wall, Chipper.
It really is.
That whole thing.
And you were a fly on the wall, and you said, hold this thought. Let's save it for the podcast.
I know what I'm doing.
Yep. 216 episodes, I sure hope so. But yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is, I think, one of the themes that we continually try to beat you all over the head with on the partner stuff. It doesn't matter if you're at the pointy end of the spear or you're looking to just have a good time and finish the race. You got to make sure that you're on the same page.
Yeah.
It's going to maximize your fun and enjoyment of the session. And that's one thing that we talked about with Addison and Phil on this great episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think to that point, it's interesting how, like, you talk about what makes a good team, what makes for a good team, what makes for a good partnership. It's probably in the top 5 in terms of having similar physical, endurance levels, but it's definitely not the first one.
Definitely not
the second one. Yeah. And it's probably not the third one, because the first one, it's all about being aligned about what you want out of the experience. And, we talk about it in this conversation, but essentially that's what Phil, who's super experienced swimmer, Addison also really experienced, like, they're doing this right now. So we were like, let's share this because we know it's super important, and we think that a lot of people find value in just kind of being a fly on the wall along with us.
Yeah, plus another great story about sort of the road travel to partnership. Phil done ÖTILLÖ at least 4 times. Was still TBD on like what the exact number is. He couldn't confirm nor deny for us. And Addison did ÖTILLÖ last year as part of the Concho Boys, and now they're coming together. So just another great story about how partners come to be and their journey throughout the swim run.
It's one of the reasons we love the partner aspect, right? It's like there's so many different ways to do this. It's great.
Absolutely. So, without any further ado, let's just jump into it with Team TBD. Could be Team Colorado. Could be Team Addison and Phil. We don't know. We don't know what their name is.
Team Arc Sports, Addison and Phil.
Accepting sponsorships now. But we do know it was a great conversation. So let's get into it right now.
All right, Partners Month continues. This week we have a Team TBD. It's one of the things we're going to talk about on this show. On air, we're gonna sort out a team name.
Yeah,
we're written articles about this. Go to triathlete.com online edition.
Hopefully they haven't taken it down.
Yeah, who knows? But joining us, Phil Saenkov and Addison Nuding. Welcome to the show.
Wait,
Did I do it? Did I do it again?
You dropped it. Nuding.
Nuding.
Addison Nuding.
All right.
I had to call you out this time.
You can call me out.
He was waiting for it.
Nice. Were you doing it saying, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, and then you said it? I do that all the time.
Are you saying I was doing a chipper?
You were pulling it.
Well, shit.
Addison and Phil, we're happy to have you on the show, and it's Partners Month. You two are a budding new partnership. We're really excited to bring you on, and I think first off, do we start with some congratulations on for getting into ÖTILLÖ, the Swimrun World Championship?
Ooh, it was a beautiful Christmas.
It's a beautiful Christmas.
Is it just I'm
still blown away that Swimrun Christmas has now been adopted. It's
I'm
in the zeitgeist now.
I'm
It's
happy
so
with
great.
it. And Phil, this will be your what number ÖTILLÖ?
5?
Fourth.
4. Are you sure?
19? Jeez.
I think
didn't
it's
even
I think
five,
it's
dude.
5, dude. How do we know
19,
more about
21.
your ÖTILLÖ history than you know?
Yeah, 5. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all
Yes,
right.
5.
I'm glad we got that
Okay.
sorted
Yeah.
out.
Number.
Yeah, number 5. And for Addison, this is number 2. So before we go any further, I just want to drop a little, some backstory here. So
Sure.
so Addison and I were chatting about ÖTILLÖ and life the other night, and he starts telling me, it's like, oh, you stoked for ÖTILLÖ? How's it going? How's it going with Phil? Because we knew you guys partnered up, and you mentioned you started mentioning that you had this conversation with him about goals and what you're trying to achieve this year and how you want to show up, how you want to train for it. And I was just like, can you just stop right there? How do you feel about just having this conversation on air? Because I think that this is something that a lot of teams, we talk about people being aligned on goals all the time. The best thing you can do to have a great swimrun experience is have similar expectations on what you want out of the experience. And for you guys going to World Championships, I already know you guys want to do something spicy. You want to put maximum effort out there. So the conversation around goals, I think it's something that a lot of people could benefit just being like a fly on the wall. So I thank you both for agreeing to do this.
We didn't twist your
So
arm.
thank
too bad,
you.
I think.
So thank you. But I guess starting with you, Addison, like, how are you feeling about Worlds? Getting to go back a second time?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about it. I had a great time last year. I guess it was just this past September, and was honored to be able to compete at the highest level of swimrun, and was really grateful to be John's partner.
Concho Boys. Shout out to the
Concho
Concho
Boys.
Boys.
Yeah.
Still a great partner, but John has to take some time off from the sport, and I didn't really know what was going to come next for me, with my partner kind of taking a hiatus from the sport. And over the course of the last 2 years, Phil and I have bumped into each other at a couple races, but I feel like we really started to have more conversations at the World Championships in Sweden, and I think that was the initial spark for what was to come.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think I was getting it from you, Chris, and from you, Chipper. You're just like,
We were.
Phil might be
Yeah.
a good partner.
We
What
were.
do you think about?
We're probably me and Chris probably had some match make
Yeah,
vibes
I mean,
happening. I
we're
think
no
trying to make it
Nicholas. We're no Nicholas
happen. No,
Ramirez.
we're not
over
trying
here.
to come for that crown.
That's his title. But we know Phil, and we know. I mean, we spend a lot of time talking to Phil about swimrun.
Too much time, probably.
We have our own text thread. It's,
much time.
It's a thing, right? But so I know what he wants, and what he wants, if I can speak for you, Phil, is you want to have like an experience at ÖTILLÖ where you are able to totally express your fitness and just have like an amazing race while being in everything we already know about that race, but just really put it together, dial it in, and from start to finish, just have a day.
Go ballistic.
And there's different ways to experience the world champs. You've done it a bunch of different ways, but for this one, you want to have it a day. And I can't think of it. And, while we know this about you, I can't, we also know Addison, A.K.A. Captain America, is here for it.
Yeah.
So that's why, if we were planting the seeds, is because we know what you were trying to get after. And we knew that Addison kind of had the chops in that respect.
You've seen the future.
I guess.
Yeah.
You've seen the future.
And Phil, you've had such a great cornucopia of ÖTILLÖ experiences. You've raced with the godfather swimrun himself, Andy Hewitt. You've raced with Emily, a really strong swimmer, first timer last
Mixed
year.
team.
You've raced several times as a swimrun monks. Yeah, you've raced in the mixed division. So you've had a lot of different flavors, and you have a lot of veteran experience to bring that I think will pair very nicely with young Addison here. I think we've done well, Chris,
Yeah,
from a matchmaking
so.
perspective.
I
We've
think
done
so.
well.
Yeah, and
It is only February.
And I didn't know. The first, back in September, I was soaking it all in because I mean, it's an event. It's a multi-day, multi-course meal, and requires you to be at peak physical and mental preparation. And at the same time, I wanted to enjoy the experience. I didn't know if this was going to be the last ride. And so John and I went out and did the best we could. We accomplished our goals as a team. We didn't get injured. We finished in a respectable time, and we did the best on the day as a team. And it's always been a pleasure working with John. And I love the sport, but I just didn't know what was coming next for me. So I'm very pleased that Phil and I are now partnered up, and we're happy to chat through some of what we're planning to do this year and in our preparations.
I mean, yeah, you just teed it up. I mean, tell us on how you guys are thinking about goals. What are you prioritizing? Obviously, you're training from afar, California to Colorado. So, Addison, you were used to training with John a lot. At least a lot of your swimming practices were together. So that'll be a little bit different for you. I'm sure you can still get John to basically sub in for Phil, maybe. John, if you're listening, get to work.
Yeah, I think for me, the way I'm looking at this year, I'd love to defer to Phil to talk a little bit about the goals, but this year I'm really excited about building up my fitness slow and steady. I have a great foundation, and this term is kind of banal at this point, but I do see myself as a hybrid athlete. I'm taking full advantage of the winter here in Colorado, doing cross-country skiing and alpine touring. But I know that in order to compete at the World Champs, it requires a lot of tactical running on trails. And lucky for me, I have one of the best races to prep for this coming up in May at the Miwok 100K. And I'm also blessed to have the best crew chief west of the Mississippi. Is that safe to say? I
don't know.
Chris, what do you think?
Well, hey, if I'm being truly honest with myself, I know that my crewing services are best in class.
That's top dollar.
Crewing or pacing?
I'm crewing.
Both? Okay.
I'm crewing. So I'm going to crew Addison at the Miwok 100. That's what we were talking about the other night. I did it for John years and years ago, and he was he hyped me up pretty good. So
nice.
Get to go back there, but it'll be fun. I'm gonna put an air tag, Apple tag on
Addison. Hey, like that timing chip we had to wear at ÖTILLÖ, that giant battery pack thing.
Yeah.
But let's get into the goals. Phil, what are you thinking about this being your fifth? Remember, this is your fifth time going to ÖTILLÖ. What do you want to achieve there, and how do you make sure that you and Addison are getting on the same page?
That's a very good question. I think our kind of thesis for this race, and both of us kind of thinking forward, is that we want to come in healthy, maybe not at super peak, but very healthy. And so there's a lot of running, there's 7+ miles of just running. So I think both of our goals has been to at least do a few marathons before the World Championship. Right under that 3 mark, I think being able to run at least 25, 26, 30 miles under 3, I think is great. Or as I should say, like a 650 pace, 645 pace or so, just, under 7. Pretty much anytime you want. I think that's the goal, but can we get there? And obviously, knowing the terrain, we talked about, it's not always going to be that way. But when the course lets you go, can we just step on it, right there and then, versus maybe being slower, everywhere, but not as, like strong. So we want to be stronger, and just kind of when it lets us go, we're going to go. So that's for running.
A good
obviously,
point.
Swimming.
Yeah. No, it's a good point, because it's like the marathon style fitness of just, can you give a sustained effort for a long time is useful. But you also want kind of the ultra running technical, back and
endurance
forth,
too.
like the plyos kind of thing going, because the course really presents just everything.
It does.
But like thinking
it does.
about at least get like a nice run base, fast run base is a good thing to just have in your pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you look at like the topography of the race course, it goes down the whole time. It's just there's these downs and then there's these flats, kind of an Orno, and so it is kind of like more down, but on the ups, you gotta step up a couple of feet each time and climb things. So you also need that strength too. But when it's flat, you gotta have the legs to go, and so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the pros do, right?
Yeah. And so both of you, Addison's targeting a 100K run. We know, Phil, you're doing the Boston Marathon here in a few weeks in March time frame. Both great times to check in on your fitness. And I know there could be people listening that are like, oh man, sub 7 minutes for a marathon, like this is crazy. I'm not going to be able to do that. I think why Chris and I felt this conversation was really applicable to everybody is, no matter what end of the spectrum you're at, if you're talking about running a certain pace at a marathon or you're just trying to finish and have fun, I think what we wanted to highlight is Phil and Addison are aligned on what they want to do and making sure that they're clicking on their goals there, no matter if they're trying to run fast or trying to just have a great day and survive and get through an amazing experience in a race there.
So having that talk, having that talk with your partner and being kind of, upfront, and obviously, hopefully injuries and, life don't get too much in the way, but, we have plenty of time to check in with each other. So that's, I think to have a fun, enjoyable race with your partner, you got to start planning way ahead and kind of check in with each other, kind of keep, each other like accountable that way, because something might change. Maybe someone's like, oh man, I'm about to have a baby. Well, their energy is going to be, somewhere else, or else, or they're about to start a new job, or hey, I'm moving to a new city. It's like, oh geez, like that's going to be stressful, so yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll plan accordingly.
For sure. And what are you guys thinking in terms of swimming?
Addison?
Sounds like Phil's just towing.
No.
Well, I think the point Phil made about being on the same page about the goal, we have a finish time that we have in mind, and the World Champs demands a lot from a running perspective. It is a tremendous amount of swimming, but more so on the legs. I think I certainly felt it in my legs, in my lower back, just like scrambling up the rocks, getting out of the water. And so I think Phil's right that it is good to focus on the running. And, beyond the Me Walk race, I also have 2 marathons on the calendar. And so I think I'm pretty confident in the running and our ability to match pace. Swimming is something that I think will come back to me. I'm kind of taking a break from swimming at the moment, but it will certainly be a part of my training, and I'll increase the volume accordingly. We haven't talked too much about swimming. I think part of being in different geographies is going to be a bit of a challenge. So I'd love to come out to San Diego and do some open water swims, or find a pool.
Training weekends.
Awesome. Do some training weekends together. The running, again, is a little more, it comes a little easier, right? You have the proprioception, you can communicate with voice. The swimming, on the other hand, you lack the ability to communicate as much. So definitely going in with a strategy. If one of us is feeling strong, to take the lead, if someone's going to take the lead most of the time, like all those things we need to work out. And I think those are going to involve further conversations.
For sure.
There's going to be up and downs, like in a race, especially in swimrun. It seems like you always hear these horror stories of a partner just, things happen out there. And so we're planning accordingly that we want to be cautious of that and then get through that, And as far as swimming communications, I have great techniques that I have kind of been using and employed for a number of years, and that's from obviously listening to the Löw Tide Böyz or chatting with people, and so just it's like a little toolbox that I keep collecting. So I feel that within a few hours of chatting or swimming, that we can, feel that we can communicate in the water
Right.
for the most important parts, the hard stop, whatever it might be that we need, to communicate.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, like, I guess this question's for you, Addison. You've done enough swim running. I mean, I think if you've already done the World Championship, I think you're good on terms of like graduating Swimrun Academy kind of thing, right? But Phil's done way more racing than you. What are you hoping that he's going to sort of help you with at ÖTILLÖ and sort of in the build up in terms of like, kind of getting you prepped for the experience?
Yeah, it was funny. I feel like the experience came into play immediately after the race. I remember Chipper, Phil, and I were having conversations on the ferry back and talking about, okay, what are the techniques? What did we learn? How would we improve this? And
this wasn't about fika eating. This was about the race.
Oh, this was after the fika world.
Was this about the breakfast? Like what we should have done better to get more
cheese?
After the 2 meals, after the good sleep. Yeah. So I think, that's a conversation that we had, and that was already built on Phil's great experience of had done it 4 times. So we're already talking about things like nutrition, making sure we're eating real food. It plays a little bit more like an ultra as opposed to maybe like a marathon where you can just gels. And so I think nutrition was a topic of discussion. I also think equipment, how to dial in the equipment. We're already talking about, based on the temperature of the water and the air, what are the suits that we want to have, the tethering capabilities. Phil's already hyping up the new shoes that are about to drop.
Oh, I heard.
He's got insight.
I heard about these shoes.
I don't know anything.
You're gonna get a cease and desist.
So yeah, I think it's a matter of.
I can't wait.
I think it's truly a matter of thinking ahead to like, okay, what does race day look like, and getting early access to those, to what that simulation could be. So, training with the right equipment that you're going to use on race day, dialing in nutrition that you're going to have on race day. And yeah, and to answer your original question, Chris, the experience, nothing will substitute just actually doing the race. And again, yeah, very thankful that Phil has a lot of experience in this race. So I think on race day, it's going to be really important to have his knowledge of the terrain, what islands are coming up. And now I have a frame of reference that I can pull from.
And honestly, I think you'll be surprised how much you remember, because I mean, we remember him pretty well on that course.
Yeah, like it flashbacks, PTSD, however you want to frame it up, but it does come back to you. And I think I that's a perfect transition, because that's how I wanted to take it. I remember, I'm Addison, curious if you felt this way, but Chris, I remember like after our first time, it was like, oh man, if we were fresh and we could like magically wake up and be at 100%, you would want to do it again tomorrow, because there's like 100 things that you would change about it. Yeah. Is that sort of how you felt after that first one, Addison?
Yeah, a little bit. The big thing for me, there were 2 things. You want to do your best for training, and I think I did all that I could to prepare my body physically. Did a lot of running, did a lot of swimming, did a lot of partner training with John, and studied the map, everything. On the day, I think the 2 biggest things for me were thermoregulation and figuring out when I need to cool my body down, and when I need to ramp it up, right? So you're in and out of the water. The temperatures are in the high 50s Fahrenheit, and on that particular day in September, I think it was sunny and 70.
It was conditions were really weird.
19,
cold water.
I think they call it.
Yes, that's what they'd call it. Yeah, for sure.
19.
Yeah. So that was the big thing was understanding how I would want to regulate my body, either removing arm sleeves, unzipping, taking some water, dumping it down, running through a hose that some guy has out on his lawn. and then the other thing is the nutrition. I was following the Löw Tide Böyz playbook. I had gels just like strapped inside.
Like you had a bandolier of them, I remember.
And just like duct tape ready to like swap out like an ammo box. And I was on the ferry heading over to the starting line and just being like, man, this is
it makes you want to eat gels because
like
just to
right
make
up
room.
just like in my ribs. I was just like, I don't think I can eat all these gels. And I made like a quick game time decision to like, I'm going to swap out some of these gels for like some waffles and some bars. And I'll tell you what, that was a game changer for both of us. I feel like John and I just could not handle the gels. I had like one and I was like, I'm done. And so definitely going to go more towards solid food. Also knowing what's available on the course. I was pleasantly surprised that there are options out there. So I think those are the two big things that I took away in terms of race prep.
Yeah. And like just the training on the nutrition piece, like, you know, you can't expect a miracle. Like if you're not training with tons of gels all year long and then magically you're going to like be able to eat 10, like that's just not same thing with your ultra piece and fueling. I do like that analogy that like fueling for ÖTILLÖ, the world championship, is like fueling for 100K or a 50 miler. Like you need to be able to eat solid foods and have your body process that with other supplemental nutrition, whether that is a gel or blocks or whatever you're doing. Everyone's different, right?
Well, I kind of have an analogy for you there. Like it's a triathlon one, so don't hate on me, bro. But you know how when you do 70.3s, it's like, oh yeah, you can bust that out in a weekend and be right back at it. Like a full Ironman isn't 2 70.3s back to back. It's like its own thing, and it's almost like all the swim runs that we normally do outside of the World Championship. They're all 4 to 5 hours, so gut training really works. Because year one, we lasted on our optimal gut training about 7 hours.
6 to 7 hours.
Year two, we lasted about 8.5 hours before it all went. So we were like, and our debrief was like, yeah, we definitely need to try to incorporate more food and just treat this as a separate event, not as just like an extra long swim run. It's not like 3 Cascos. It's its own thing. Phil, you've done this race a bunch of times. Is that also how you see it?
100%. I'm not like one of these guys that's been like running and swimming, all his life. Like I'm 40 years old, about to be 40. I started maybe 8 years ago running and probably swimming 5 or so, right? And so I really just had to just learn, like, look what people are doing. And so to me, it just kind of made sense. Like real food is just going to help it. Then just always, doing swim run with the father and other kind of swim run people in my area of San Diego is that we all came to terms like in swim run, the more you eat, the better. So if you're just constantly snacking in swim run, you're just going to do that much more better. You're running in the wetsuit, you're wet, you're probably usually cold, things are hurting. And so
it's still super fun though.
Yeah,
it is. But I think, and you're worrying about maybe not slipping in your partner and the water and this. And so I think it's just a lot of mental energy. Like you're just burning a lot. And so we feel that the more you eat, it's just, you can have a better race. And so that's been what we've been really practicing. And it seems like it's showing, like in results. So we're not bunking as much. And so, like personally, I always carry like a flask, soft flask of some gel. So I always have something. So every 25 minutes, I'm taking something in. And so I think if people start, doing that, I think they'll just have a better experience and have more energy. That could be with real
plus
food
with the
also,
new
too.
shoes. The new shoes too; those aren't going to hurt.
Yeah.
No. And Phil, this will be your 5th time. I'm sure the incremental knowledge gain after every ÖTILLÖ. Probably, you gain 50% of knowledge, you get 50% level up knowledge from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3 it's like 40% or something. How do you think about it after you've done ÖTILLÖ 3-4 times? Where are you thinking that you can squeeze out these kind of optimizations or areas that you're looking to really turn up the dial or really achieve your sort of optimal swim run experience?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question. I ponder about that all the time.
That's why I make the big bucks, Phil.
I'm sorry?
Never mind. Just made a joke.
I didn't hear.
Go ahead.
It wasn't good.
Wasn't good. I mean, I have the map printed in my, work briefcase. I'm always just kind of looking at it, remembering. It's just, it's interesting.
Nice.
I mean, I honestly, I probably don't know the specifics of every island and this and that, but for me, I'm more of a visual person more, and so to me, as I'm swimming up or as I'm running, I'm okay, when you run the course so many times that you feel confident that something's coming up, and that you don't have to run faster or be slow. You can do it just perfect because you know what's coming up, and so. This last time around, I really felt like that because I was kind of leading our pack, and I had all the distances, and so I felt very confident to say, hey, listen, we have 2 miles here, let's step it up. How do you feel? And my partner might be feeling great, let's go. I'm oh, great, let's go, because it's flat. And so just kind of feeling more comfortable that I can kind of prep my partner what's coming up. I think it's always just helpful, going back to this race here, Catalina, me and my partner had a chance to do the course. And so when we actually did the race, I mean, it's probably today one of my funnest races with a partner ever, because we didn't look at distances. We just knew the course. We knew what was coming up, and we could just push it. And it was the first time I think that we kind of we went to Masters and we swam good, and so we were passing people. So it was really the first time that we were wow, this is even more fun.
It was a big level up. Everybody, I mean, we just met you guys, but everyone was oh yeah, the monks just did something. They just did something here.
And all we did was just show up to Masters twice a week and run. I mean, we had no plans. No, we just truly fell in love with the sport, and it was just a magical time. It was just it was awesome to kind of prove to yourself that you can improve,
Phil,
improve.
Let me ask you a question. Have you seen the ÖTILLÖ YouTube video of the aerial coverage of when it goes over the map Indiana Jones style? Have you seen that video? It's a minute and a half long. You'll love it. If you're visual, it's totally YouTube. Indiana Jones. It's great.
I've seen every single one of them.
Link.
So yes, I have seen that video. It's a beautiful video.
I love it.
The music, the dramatic.
Oh, the music, yeah. That's the one. If you want to blow someone, oh yeah, I do the World Championship. Just show them that video. Be yeah, just
oh no,
give them some tissues.
Keep up with the kilometers. Wait, okay. So real seriously, there's something that I think we need to sort out for you guys.
Yeah, we hammered all this gold stuff out of the way, but what's the team name going to be?
Yeah, if you got, as far as I know, you guys haven't settled on a team name, so I think we should just do that right now.
Great.
Workshop it.
Do you have some ideas for us?
I am not creative at all, so
I think there's a couple ways to go about it.
Okay.
One is, as we mentioned in our triathlon.com online edition article about this, there's the sort of European style, which is changing. There's more zany, punny names now, but originally it can be something really obvious, either where you're from and your names, or who's sponsored by you and your names, or just who's sponsored by you. But it's very sort of formulaic in that way. So it could be, the best example, the world champs, is Team Max and Hugo and Max.
ARC
Sports, Hugo and Max. Or Max and Hugo, I don't know who's first there. So there's that style, or we could just go out the box, and just...
We'd be happy to be sponsored by ARC. So if they're listening,
Okay, Helen, you heard it here first. Open to sponsorship opportunity.
Yeah. So there's that style, and then there's something zany. I mean, do you guys want to have Boyz in the thing? Do you want to have something else?
I'm more of a zany guy.
A lot of options.
I think we're both kind of funding our way to the championship, and so we want to have some fun. And I'm just not that creative. I'm about to be 40.
Yeah.
I love rap. I'm a real estate agent. I now love, fitness. Now I love swimming. Now I love running.
PhilipSellsSanDiego.com.
It's very simple, So I'm very open.
Serious.
The two cats
We
in
could
the
start a
hood,
poll.
whatever
Yeah.
you want.
Put a
you
poll
know?
on.
How about this?
On
In
Löw Tide
honor of
Böyz.
California Swim Run and in honor of Addison living in Colorado, why isn't it the Colorado Swim Run?
Wow.
Team Colorado.
Team Colorado. I like that.
I like it. Colorado.
Well, you don't have
Addison's
to
not
accept
sold.
anything right now. The title of this episode is going to be Team TBD. Well, maybe that's just your team name right there.
There's your team
Plus,
name.
we still need to run it
There's-
by
there's
Otillo.
certain-
I still need to do some stuff. So as long as they bless the name change, then yes, I'm all for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, get some umlauts in there too.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain members of our swimrun community who will start making,
Memes?
tell you that, if they beat you in a race, that they get to name you and stuff like that. So you guys need to come
Oh,
up with
boy.
a name before
Wow.
certain personalities
boy.
start
That's
taking over.
That sounds like a triathlon thing. I mean, we're a little more friendly here. We're competitive, but
Good
come on
point.
now.
It's a good point.
For sure. Yeah, so
I like Team TBD. That has a
Team
nice
TBD is good, Team TBD is a
It could
standby.
stand for all sorts of things.
And
There's
then we
also-
can fill in what that acronym means later.
Yeah.
There's
That's
also a
hilarious.
team name. I don't know how you guys feel about Swedish Fish, but the fact that team name isn't taken really surprises me.
But they're not Swedish.
Then,
That's what makes it funny. I don't think
okay.
Swedish fish are even Swedish. Do
That's
they
a
eat
good
that
point
stuff
too.
there?
Yeah.
I think that's a good
I
point.
don't know. They probably do.
I think there's some conspiracy out there that they're not even from, that they're not Swedish.
Yeah, like I don't know why
They're made in
why
like,
some
good,
New
though.
Jersey or something.
If we're talking about yummy candies, the peach rings that they had, I forgot what aid station that was. I still dream about those things. I remember telling Chris, I almost turned around to run back to the aid station to get more. That's how much they resonated with me in that moment.
Was
I
it
must have been
from the
really hurt.
residents of the
I'll bring a
island?
Ziploc bag next time.
The non-official one or no?
I think it was in the big field.
Was there an Orno?
I guess you're running through big fields the whole time.
There's some big fields. Did they have the funny hats? Was the funny hats
No,
one?
I don't think it was that one.
Because that's the one before the pig swim.
It might have been after we ran by Michael Lamel after we kind of
So that was on Run Murrah.
okay. But it was,
No, was it?
I mean, I took a handful. No, it must have been later in the race because I was kind of gelled out. So it must have been our.
Was there a hose there?
Yeah.
7
Were you able to
through
hose
8.
yourself off?
There was no hosing
That was
happening.
a different one. That's where they had the
that
Capri
one, they have
Suns.
pickles there. I remember at the
Yes.
church, the one before the church, they had the pickle juice. I'm always good for a couple shots of pickle juice.
When you're at the church, I mean, it's go time.
And
I
mustard.
mean, that's, you're broken, you're shattered, and you still got something
Really
to
selling
go.
it.
Yeah.
It's a good thing there's a church there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that the most deceiving part of the course? I mean, we can talk about Attila all day, right? But you get to the church, you're like, oh, sweet. Church. We're here, baby.
I was needing some
And then
saving.
it's like, oh no. Wait, the
Couple
road
miles.
ends that we're back in the woods? What kind of bullshit is this?
And you're ducking down, you're sore, your back hurt. I mean, everything is falling apart.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
It's a
love it.
beautiful thing, though. Yeah.
I love it.
Well, guys, I think we weren't successful in getting a team name locked in, but we were successful in talking about how you all came to aligning your goals and deciding how you were going to have a good experience at this year's Attila.
We're obviously rooting for you.
Yeah.
And as we told
We're gonna miss
Phil
you guys.
in our
Big
text
time.
thread, FOMO for not doing the race, but definitely not FOMO for the training required to do the race. So
I know.
enjoy it all.
Are you have any prep races that you're doing? I know you mentioned the few marathons and ultras, or you have any prep swim runs that you two are going to come collaborate on? Team TBD, we'll see you out there this year, or TBD on that.
For me personally, I have the Boston Marathon, and then I was actually just thinking the other day how much I do like trail racing. So maybe I'll throw something in, if it fits the schedule. It's just fun being out there, just kind of like eating. That's the one thing I thought about, because I was like, oh, it would be fun to kind of push myself and see eating and just to see if I can, am I getting stronger,
Time on your feet.
I
too.
have an idea for you, Phil. Why don't you just enter yourself into the Me Walk 100 and you just do it with Addison, and then I could pace you or crew, and that you could have the Löw Tide Böyz, a dual Löw Tide Böyz team in NBD,
I think it's sold out because it sells out all the time. But you could pace them like for 50K of it.
Wow.
That actually would be pretty. That would be pretty interesting, and I'm happy to crew for you as well. Best in class service, if I do say so myself.
Yeah,
5 stars.
Phil, you could be my pacer.
5 stars.
That'd be great.
And this is 100 miles?
Meeting.
It's 100K.
100K.
Oh, 100K.
Well, it's 100K,
So you
but
basically
I
run
think
51 miles.
there's like certain segments that pacers are allowed. So.
Yeah, I paced a friend at that last year. It's from Stinson Beach back, so it's like, I think it's about 18 to 20 miles of pacing at the end.
Is it in San Francisco
Very
area? Like,
beautiful
where's
part
this
of
at?
Marin.
I have no idea where this is
Dude,
at.
it's
Yeah,
in
it's
the
in
headlands,
Stinson
baby.
It's
You've
beauty.
ran
Best
parts
running
of
in
it.
the world.
You've done the North Face Endurance Challenge,
Yep.
so you've actually ran a lot of those trails in some combination.
Oh, yeah, those places are beautiful. I guess, see how it fits the schedule, but it's actually pretty tempting. I'm not going to lie. It would be nice to pace Addison and just to go out there, yeah.
Telling you, best in class crewing.
Yeah,
And plus,
we
get to
also
see you
talked
guys.
briefly.
Oh, boy.
Phil and I also talked briefly about maybe dipping in and doing another domestic race this year. but-
Vancouver. That's another
Whistler.
one. Whistler, exactly.
It's that month is open on my calendar.
I mean, when he said that, I mean, I was like, uh-oh.
It's as good as a lock right now.
Yeah. That sounds like
Okay,
a fun
well,
one.
it sounds like there's a lot of irons in the fire here, but Team TBD or Colorado, whatever you decide that you're going to
Colorado.
be, Addison, Phil. Always great to chat
It's up
with you
to
both,
Addison,
and
whatever
we're
he
really
wants. I'm open.
really rooting for you guys.
Thanks.
you
Yeah,
guys.
we appreciate the support.
Yes.
We'll keep you posted, and always happy to be a guest.
Yes, of course.
All right, guys. We'll have a
Good
great
time
year
with
of
you guys.
training and good health, and I'm sure we'll just be texting you in like 20 minutes or something.
Okay, love you guys.
All right.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Löw Tide Böyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run,
And then a swim,
then another run,
then another swim.
then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
Of
too.
course, yes.